I remember the exact moment I realized I had stopped caring for myself. It wasn't a sudden illness, it was the way I looked at a flight of stairs and decided they were too dangerous. It was the way I sat in a chair and waited for someone else to open a jar for me. I thought I was resting because I was over 60. I thought I was being safe. But in reality, I was slowly surrendering. There is a huge difference between getting cared for and caring for yourself. Society tells us that perfect care in old age is about safety, soft foods, easy chairs, and avoiding exertion. We are encouraged to shrink our worlds until our four walls become a prison. But after sitting in a room where my only job was to wait for the next meal, I realized that the safe path is actually the most dangerous one. It's the path that leads to frailty, to becoming a burden, and eventually, to losing the connection with the people we love most. Perfect self-care isn't a retreat, it's an active defense. It's about building a body and a mind that can still show up for a daughter's wedding, still play with a grandchild on the floor, and still hold a conversation with the dignity of a man who is in charge of his own destiny. Before we dive into the blueprint of how I reclaimed my life, I want you to do one thing. If you are tired of being told to take it easy and you're ready to take your power back, hit that subscribe button and join our community. We are proving that our 60s, 70s, and 80s aren't the end, they are a new season of strength. Subscribe now, and let's change the narrative together. Today, I'm giving you the exact pillars of how to care for yourself perfectly. We're going to talk about the physical, the nutritional, and the mental shifts that turn aging into evolving. Because the best gift you can ever give your family isn't your inheritance, it's your health and your presence. Let's start with the one thing most people are too afraid to do, challenging the bone and the muscle. To care for yourself perfectly, you have to stop thinking of exercise as a hobby and start seeing it as a biological necessity. Most people think they are saving their joints by sitting still, but they are actually letting them rust. Perfect care begins with sending a signal to your nervous system that you are still an active participant in this world. I call this the signal of life. When you challenge your muscles, even in small, controlled ways, you are telling your brain that your body is still worth maintaining. If you don't give your body a reason to be strong, it will naturally begin the process of dismantling itself. This is why we see so many people fade away once they retire. They stop moving, so their body stops building. Perfect care doesn't mean you have to go to a gym and lift 200 pounds. It means mastering the movements that keep you a free man or woman. Can you get out of a chair without using your hands? Can you carry your own groceries? Can you maintain your balance on an uneven sidewalk? These aren't just exercises, they are the keys to your independence. In my journey, I started with the basics, functional resistance. I focused on the big three for seniors: lower body strength for mobility, upper body strength for posture, and core stability for balance. By challenging my muscles, I wasn't just working out, I was building a suit of biological armor. This armor is what protects you from the falls that break hips and the frailty that breaks spirits. But remember, you can't build armor out of thin air. You need the raw materials. And that leads us directly into the second, and perhaps most misunderstood, pillar of perfect self-care: how we actually fuel this reconstruction. If physical movement is the signal that tells your body to grow, then nutrition is the raw material that actually does the work. To care for yourself perfectly in old age, you have to stop eating for comfort and start eating for architecture. Think about it, most of the advice we get as we age is to eat light. We're told to have a little toast, some soup, maybe a soft pudding. But those are maintenance foods, they don't build anything. If you want to rebuild the muscle you lost during those years of sitting still, you need the bricks and mortar of the human body: protein. I learned the hard way that our bodies become less efficient at processing protein as we get older. It's a medical reality called anabolic resistance. To overcome it, you can't just have a little bit here and there. You need a focused, intentional amount at every single meal. When I was in that facility, I stopped looking at the tray as lunch and started looking at it as a supply delivery. I traded my bread for eggs. I prioritized the meat over the mash. I was giving my body the amino acids it needed to repair the damage and turn my signal of life into actual, physical armor. But perfect care isn't just about what you add, it's about what you remove. I had to cut out the empty calories that were clouding my mind and making my joints ache. Sugar and processed seed oils are like pouring sand into a high-performance engine. They create inflammation that masks your true strength. When you clean up your fuel and prioritize your protein, something incredible happens. Your brain fog starts to clear. Your energy doesn't crash at 2 p.m. You start to feel solid from the inside out. You aren't just surviving the day, you are fueled to conquer it. However, even with a strong body and a fueled system, there is a third pillar that most people miss, the one that determines whether you'll actually stay the course when things get difficult. And that is the armor you build inside your head. You can have the best workout plan and the perfect diet, but if your mind accepts the old age narrative, your body will eventually follow. To care for yourself perfectly, you must build mental armor. This is the psychological discipline to reject the world's invitation to be invisible. When I first arrived at that facility, the heaviest thing I had to lift wasn't a suitcase, it was the weight of the labels people put on me. Senior. Patient. Resident. These words are dangerous because they carry an unspoken instruction: sit down and wait. If you want to care for yourself perfectly, you have to aggressively defend your status as the main character of your own life. This starts with a daily commitment to sovereignty. You have to make your own decisions, solve your own problems, and keep your mind sharp. I stopped letting people do things for me that I could do for myself. If I could walk to the water cooler, I walked. If I could carry my own books, I carried them. Every time you let someone do a task for you that you are capable of doing, you are giving away a piece of your independence. Perfect care means being grateful for help, but being fiercely protective of your capability. Mental armor also means staying curious. The moment you stop learning, you start aging. I started reading about biology, about history, and about the very exercises I was performing. I wanted to understand the why behind my journey. When you have a why, you can endure any how. But here is the deepest secret of mental armor: it isn't just about being tough. It's about purpose. You aren't getting strong just to be strong, you're getting strong so you can be a pillar for others. This shift in mindset, from being the one who needs help to being the one who provides value, is the ultimate psychological reboot. And that brings us to the final, most rewarding part of this blueprint. Because once you've built the body and the mind, you realize that the ultimate form of self-care isn't about you at all. It's about the bridge you build back to the people you love. The final piece of caring for yourself perfectly is understanding that your health is not a private matter. It is the greatest gift you can give to your family. I call this the social bridge, because your physical and mental restoration is what allows you to cross back into the lives of the people you love, not as a burden, but as a blessing. For a long time, my relationship with my daughter was defined by her worry. Every phone call was a check-in on my symptoms. Every visit was an assessment of my decline. That isn't a relationship, that's a clinical observation. By failing to care for myself, I had forced her into the role of a parent and robbed her of the chance to simply be my daughter. Perfect self-care changed that dynamic forever. When I took responsibility for my strength and my nutrition, I removed the weight from her shoulders. Suddenly, we weren't talking about my medications or my mobility issues anymore. We were talking about life. We were talking about the future. I was able to stand tall, look her in the eye, and show her that I was once again the man who could protect and provide wisdom, rather than just the man who needed to be watched. This is the hidden miracle of the seasons of strength. When you care for yourself perfectly, you restore the natural order of your family. You free your children from the guilt of your frailty. You become the grandfather who can actually get down on the floor to play with the kids, and the father who can walk his daughter through the challenges of her own life because he's proved he can conquer his own. True reconciliation doesn't happen through words alone, it happens through presence. And you cannot be fully present if you are trapped in a body you neglected. By choosing strength, I didn't just save my own life, I saved our bond. I earned back the right to be her father, and that is a reward that no medicine in the world can provide. Caring for yourself perfectly isn't a luxury, it's a duty. It's the daily work of maintaining the vessel that carries your soul and your legacy. It starts with a single movement, a better meal, and a mind that refuses to quit. My journey started in room 4B, but it doesn't have to start there for you. You can choose to fight back right now, wherever you are. You have the blueprint. Now, you just need the courage to follow it. If this message resonated with you, share this video with one person who needs to hear that it's not too late. Let's build a world where we don't just grow old, we grow strong. I'll see you in the next one. Stay sovereign.